and welcome to Playtime Plus. I hope you are all having a wonderful week. My name is Seth Laidlaw, Interim Education Director at Pittsburgh Public Theater. Just in time for Thanksgiving, today's workshop is an opportunity for all of us to reflect, remember, and reminisce. Welcome to Playtime Plus. I hope you are all having... Oops. All right. As I was saying, a time to reminisce on home and family and what that means to us. So today we're going to be doing some theater exercises to help us reflect and think about that. Today, joining us from home, I'm excited to welcome some on-screen participants from the University of Pittsburgh. And we have Ryan, Dylan, and Julia. If you could join me on the screen. And today, leading today's workshop, I'm really excited to welcome Jamie Agnello, local artist. And with that, thank you all so much for being here today. And Jamie, take it away.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this little improv-y Tuesday afternoon on Playtime Plus. Thank you to Ryan, Julia, and Dylan for joining me today. This exercise and improv is loosely based on Rob Zellers' play Redux, which was done by PPT's Playtime last week, and directed by Kyle Hayden, starring some lovely local actors and some reunited actors that worked together a long time ago. I thought about how we could explore the themes of Redux with a memory road trip. So I sort of assume that Dylan, Ryan, and Julia, you've maybe been on a road trip or maybe two in your lives. Yeah, totally. Cool. So you've been on a road trip or, a family vacation, something where you all have to pile into the car and sort of make a go of it to get to where you want to go. What kinds of things did you see on the way?
I have a distinct memory of doing a college visit to Boston. I'm from sort of the middle of Pennsylvania, so not like too long of a road trip, but I just remember getting in this really horrendous thunderstorm that was like the scariest thing I've ever had to drive through in my entire life. Like full-blown hurricane, like, midsummer. Made it through, obviously, but yeah, very scary moments on the road.
Yeah.
Me and my family, every summer when I was growing up, we would go to a family resort in the Poconos, and there's a telephone pole that looks like a giant tree, and we were like, oh, there's the big tree. That's what we called it. There's the big tree. There's the big tree. To know we were however long away from where we were going. So that's a memory that will always stick with me on road trips and things like that.
Awesome.
I would say the most memorable road trip that I've had, it was an accidental road trip, not planned. But after a canceled flight, I ended up making the trek in the middle of the night and into the day from Charleston to Philadelphia. And there was lots of unexpected stops along the way, and it certainly turned a 2-hour flight into quite the endeavor.
Yeah, totally an adventure. Do any of you remember any smells from road trips? Classic road trip smells.
For me, I feel like all my road trips have typically been during the summer, so there's always that scent of like tar, like the road, like freshly paved road that really sticks in my mind.
I would say the same for me. And also, I remember one year we took our dog. So that's definitely a smell I remember from being in the car for that long.
I will say road trips are always synonymous with fast food for me. Fast food that was sitting in the car a little too long. And a lot of the road trips that I've been on have also been through some very rural areas. So definitely a lot of farms along the way.
The farm smell you never forget from a road trip. That is for sure. That's my mom's favorite smell on a road trip. She's like, farmland. She loves that. So I was wondering, maybe real quick, we could just, hop into the car and maybe get seated. Does anyone want to volunteer to drive? Does anyone love driving? Dylan loves.
I love driving.
I knew it.
Take.
We can trade off at the next rest stop. That seems good. All right.
I was getting tired anyway. She can take over at the next one.
At the next one. Got it. All right. So if we're in the car, Dylan, I'll have you take the wheel. And what if we packed with us today? I brought a lot of chips, like salt and vinegar, barbecue, and also some Twizzlers. So I'm just gonna throw those in the back here. Yeah. Cool.
I packed light for this trip. I brought a few Gatorades along the way. That's my go-to, but I'm mostly planning on taking advantage of some of those rest stops.
Me as well. Love a good gas station, Sheets or Wawa. Stop along the way, whatever you please. Get some soda or whatever. But yeah, just have a little water bottle with me for right now.
Got it. Cool. How's the road going now? It's feeling like a little, maybe. Ooh. Oh yeah, Dylan, he's feeling it. Yeah. Thank you so much. Okay, great. You've like got us. Okay, we're on the road. It's a little, Pennsylvania construction.
Yeah.
Right. Cool. Okay. Great. All right. I'm gonna roll down the window if that's okay with everybody. Just crack it a little bit. Julia, it's that farmland smell. It's that. Maybe I'll roll it. I'm gonna roll it back up.
Yeah, that's a strong one.
We're rolling it back up.
Yeah.
Probably for the best.
Yeah.
Does anybody see anything surprising out the window? Ooh.
I think I'm seeing a lot of monuments, like those world largest. I'm seeing a big chair over there, some big tourist restaurants around it.
That big chair is just so big. It's absurdly big. I'm into it. Where are we headed? I like blanked out and totally forgot where we're going. Anybody have an idea? Ultimate goal.
The Grand Canyon, right?
Oh, I
Yeah.
can't believe I forgot. Ryan, thank you so
How could you
much.
forget that?
Jeez Louise.
Really
I've always
good.
It's been in my GPS, but we've been on the same road for so long, so I forgot.
It's that zone of driving, right? You're like, am I driving? How did we get there?
Are you sure we're going the right way? This looks like
Yeah. Maybe, hey Dylan, do you mind pulling over? Maybe we'll just like check the map.
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right. Well, we'll check the map, and then maybe we move on to this other activity.
Yeah, Ryan, check the maps. Check the see we're going the right way.
Yeah. I think we're going toward Texas, not Arizona.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
That might have been my fault. I might have put in the wrong address, but hey, it's a road trip, so.
It's the journey, right? It like leads us wherever. Cool. All right. So if we're on a journey and we've been on road trips before, I'm thinking this might be, like triggering some memories for us, right? We've talked about road trips that we've been on and like memories that are just stuck in our minds forever, no matter what, whether they're important or not. I'm wondering, in the spirit of Redux, which reunites two Vietnam War veterans, John and Chuck, they bring all their own memories to the table. And maybe remember things a little differently, maybe remember things a little bit more intense or less intense than the other. And they have different ways of unpacking. And I'm wondering, and if there's anyone at home participating, watching on Facebook or tuning into this webinar, this is also easy to do as a journaling activity if you're not super up on being active and on your feet in your own home. You can explore memory through journaling or just a little bit of writing if you would like to come along with us. So I'm thinking about our five senses, right? Memory has this way of triggering your senses. Is there anything that comes to mind for Ryan, Julia, Dylan, anything that like really triggers memories for you?
I will stay on my road trip, the same one I was talking about after my canceled flight. It was my mom, my cousin, and my aunt all in the car with me, and we had been on the road for quite some time, and no rest stops at all were coming up. So we had to stop at a Lowe's, as random as that is, and get candy bars, and that was our stop for a while. So every time I step into a Lowe's, which always has that very distinct smell, or any construction store of the sort, I always am very much transported back to that moment.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, totally.
I was gonna say, just the sight of not seeing the lack of sight of not seeing the rest stop sign for so long, and then sight again when you see that gas light turn on and you're looking for gas, you're panicking a little bit, you start sweating a little bit, you don't know when you're gonna see the next turn for gas. So I was gonna say, anytime I see my gas meter and it's a little bit too low, I just think about, good thing I'm not on a road trip and in the middle of nowhere, where I can't really refill my tank.
Yeah, totally.
To piggyback off the gas comments, the I would say the same in that when the gas tank is getting a little bit low, how it's nerve-wracking because one time driving back from an airport, again, no signs for miles upon miles, and my dad is just, really confident and convinced, there we'll make it to the next one, and just, gliding into the gas station with a fully empty tank of gas is a somewhat fond memory. Can laugh about it now.
That's a real thing, right? Like dads want to run on fumes. My dad's like, I can make it 40 miles. And I'm like, not why? But why do we test this?
We're going to different places for gas, like to find the cheapest gas. It's like,
Oh,
get the gas when you need it. Like, we need it now.
just get it. If it's here, get it. No, this is a dad thing. So for thinking, I definitely smell the gas, a little bit of sweat, right? Like a little bit of that like hazy, asphalty highway smell. Where it's like you want the windows down because it's summertime, but a lot of smells come with that choice.
I was gonna say, you smell the big trucks, the diesel fuel coming out of the trucks when they pass,
Totally.
and it's like, oh, you try to get away from it. You're like, you can't open the windows because that's what's making the smell, and it's just, oh.
Totally. Or if you're stuck in traffic and you're like, let's get some air in here, and then you're just in like a cloud of nonsense. Totally. Totally. So we're deep in the senses now, right? So I'm wondering, when you think of home, is there a particular, and I know you're all home right now too, which is really cool. When you think of home, what do you smell?
Well, you may hear them pop in at some point. Hopefully not. But if I have 3 large dogs and 2 cats, so for me, as soon as I walk through the door and I see all of our mini farm running towards us, that is really what solidifies that I am home for me. But I'll add that I'm on the eastern side of Pennsylvania now, but I go to the University of Pittsburgh, and as soon as I see that shift from Sheets to Wawa is really when it clues me in that I'm almost there.
Awesome. Totally.
I don't know if there's a specific smell other than what my brother and I will always just talk about is house smell. Like everyone's house like has a smell. Like you don't really know how to describe it. It's like warm. It like has like a warm like you're wrapped in a blanket, but like you don't know exactly what scent that is, but just like house smell.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I could be blindfolded, would walk into my house, and I would know just from the house smell. I feel like it's like the couches. I don't know, like the couches have like a certain smell, and just like they fill the house, and I feel like that's what triggers me to know, like, oh, this is home.
That's good. Yeah, I wonder if I was blindfolded, if I would know. I think I wouldn't. I must know. Yeah. Are there any tastes that you associate with home? Anything you taste?
My dad is an excellent cook, and now we've kind of gotten to the routine of when I'm home on a break from college. The first meal that I'll request is this pasta bake, and I feel like once I have this pasta bake, that's my dad's kind of signature now. As soon as I have that, I really feel like I'm in my place, that I'm settled in. And it also very much takes me back to high school and the time that I was living in this house full time.
Not necessarily that it's like my physical home, but my hometown. There's a deli that I always my first stop is always go to the deli and get eggs in the morning, an egg sandwich. And once I have that egg sandwich, I'm like, okay, I'm back into my home mode.
New York egg sandwiches, nothing beats them.
Yeah, along with Julia's comment, like my mom would always, anytime my brother and I would come home, would always make us like a steak like dinner, just like, very manly sort of steak dinner.
Yeah.
So that's definitely like that sort of smell with mashed potatoes and all of that, like very heavy, lovely food is like home for me.
Cool. All right, and I know the three of you are theater people, so I can ask you to do this very simple thing because we're on Zoom. So, right, you're in your little box. If there was a gesture, so a gesture is, a bodily movement that expresses something. If there was a gesture that you would use to describe the word home, and you can think about whether it relates to the smells or relates to the tastes or is something totally different, but a gesture that would remind you or signify home to you. And I'll do an example if that helps. My mom always, like no matter what time I would get home from driving from wherever I was for the holidays, would have cinnamon rolls on the counter, just like ready to eat at 2 a.m. There were always cinnamon rolls with a little Post-it that would be like, eat me, with a funny note. So when I think of home, it's like that plate of all those little round cinnamon rolls. So my gesture would be
I would say the first thing that happens when I walk in the door is my dogs come running because they smell you. They smell that you haven't been home for a while. And like you like drop all your bags and you're bending. I can't really bend down, but I was gonna say like you bend down on the floor and you're just like petting them. So I would just say like petting my dog, I would say is like mine, just like petting my dog.
That's awesome.
I would say something for me is like even no matter where you like live, I think, or where your like permanent residence is, there is something about like sleeping in like your own bed, like when you sleep in your home, it always just has that like extra feeling of comfort.
Yep.
If I'm just like tucking myself in.
Oh yeah, the tuck.
Yeah.
Yes, that's awesome.
I think particularly during this crazy time, I have very much come to appreciate a hug from my mom and my sister and my dad when I walk in the door. So this would definitely be my gesture, and in addition to all hugging my dogs and everything, but definitely hugs have been what solidified my feeling of home lately.
Hugs are so important and not nearly as plentiful right now as they could be. Okay. So we're going to move on to when you think of family. Similar vein. When you think of family, what color do you see? If you had to describe family with one color, or if color is a little abstract, is there a texture that reads family to you?
The second you said color, I thought of like a tie-dye. I know it's not really a color, but just because my family is, we're all so talkative and we're loud. So just the tie-dye, all the colors just overlapping each other, and that I feel like that describes our family like so perfectly. Our big family that we have.
Yeah, that's great.
So everyone in my family is very different, but I think one of the times we come together most is for a family movie night or to sit down and watch a show like Jeopardy. And I always get tucked under all of these blankets, particularly like white furry blankets. And so when you said texture, that was the first thing that came to my mind.
I can totally feel that. Yeah.
For me, the color, I would say I'm gonna go with orange.
Ooh, yeah.
Not my favorite color, but like kind of in between, like it's in between like red and yellow for me because it's like, there are like very like impassioned moments, sometimes tense, but then there are also like the very happy, like yellow sort of cheerfulness and just sort of like melding all of those feelings together.
I'm totally with you on the color thing. Because I feel like I went with red, that red is like the first thing I thought of because it's like there's so much love, but there's also can be so much anger, you know, like you get into it because these are people that like, you know, on such a deep level that you know how to press each other's buttons too. Yeah, the color thing makes a lot of sense to me of it being something that is, yeah, two opposites too, and that those can exist at the same time. Cool. All right, so our last one to think about here. When you think of truth, so a little more abstract. When you think of truth, is there a sound that you hear, or do you feel a physical response, something in your body, when you hear the word truth?
I would say that a lot of my academic background, I suppose, is rooted in journalism and news and reporting and bringing the truth to people. And so I think a lot of times news is about dispersing all, or truth is about dispersing all of the news and information to people. And so in terms of like a sound, I can always kind of hear like the crinkling of a newspaper or the sound of a TV news station, like their jingle. I think that's something I really believe in and always associate with that feeling.
Cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was actually thinking about the lack of sound because I feel like when someone is telling the truth, it's very pure and it's very there's nothing else to do. There's no and like you're just straight up sitting and you're saying or hearing what the truth is, and there's no getting around it. There's no other sounds to make. There's no distraction. The truth is just the truth. So I feel like actually lack of sound would be it for me.
Great. Yeah, totally.
When I hear truth, I guess my reaction initially is kind of like a little bit of like tightness in like your neck and like your chest a little because it can often be like, like feedback, which can be like difficult to take, at least for me. Always criticism, constructive, even if it is the truth. So I think it can easily be like a tense feeling for me sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel like for me, it's like, oh, there's a weight, like it's a settling down into yourself. Like I feel it in my stomach and like in my legs is like truth. You know, it does have this like heaviness to it. Yeah. Cool. Okay. So now we're coming short on time, but I think we can still do this. So we've got home, where we talked about smell and taste. We talked about family. We talked about color and texture. And then truth, where we talked about sound and a physical response. So I'm wondering if all three of us, or four of us, including me, individually could come up with 3 gestures. So one gesture for home, one gesture for family, and one gesture for truth. And you'll just put them together. So it'll be like 1, 2, 3. Very simple. If you feel it in your body, if it speaks to you, we're in our little funny Zoom box. So whatever exists from here up and reaches the corners of your screen. Yeah, so we've got home, family, and truth. And I can totally go first if that's helpful. Okay, so we've got home, family, and truth. Cool.
Well, you just with family and truth was actually really close to what I was thinking
Oh, yeah.
about home. So like my dog, and then family, kind of like a lot of noise,
Yeah.
and then truth of just tranquility and stillness, kind of just sitting back.
Awesome. Thank you, Dylan.
For me, I would say home,
Oh, yeah, the cuddly.
family and truth.
Awesome. I love the complexity of that family is such a complex thing, that it does exist in these like land of opposites.
I would say home is this hug gesture before. I always think of family as tucking into a nice blanket for nice family time. And truth always perks my ears up. So I'd come to attention.
Cool. Yeah, totally. Thank you all so much for being so vulnerable with this. I know it's like a lot to talk about home and family and truth, especially in what a weird time we're living in right now. But also, I feel like a good time to reflect on those things and think about, maybe what they mean to us as we spend more time at home or more time with our families or less, depending on what your quarantine COVID situation might be. Yeah. Cool. The only other question is, there's like a little reflection I had here at the end, which is I always like to ask people if there was anything that surprised them. Any memory that came up that you were like, what? How crazy? Or like a feeling that just maybe if we could all just name one thing that surprised us.
I have not thought about that road trip from Charleston in quite some time. And it's a memory that was quite tense in the time, but it's nice to look back on as some positive memories with people who I haven't been able to see in person in quite some time.
I was surprised at specifically the gas memory because like it is so distinct in my mind, but for some reason I like kind of put it in another box somewhere, like back here. But along with Julia's thoughts, like, sometimes like you do right now, like want to go back to even those times where you're like almost running out of gas because then it's like, oh, fun thing we can laugh about in 5 years or whatever.
Totally.
For me, I would definitely say thinking about that tree. I haven't thought about that telephone pole or that tree, and I could picture it exactly in my mind. That picture has not come into my brain in so long, and just associating that with family and fun and being able to get together with people that you necessarily don't always see was really nice.
Cool.
So thank you for doing that for us.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for being game. I know it's a funny thing to exist in a Zoom world and to get together in this way, but I'm really happy it still exists. It's can be a real blessing, especially right now. I was super surprised by the color. To think about the color as being two different emotions at the same time. Family is love, and family can also be anger and can be very intense feelings. And to, let those things exist as they do in a balance. Yeah, cool. Thank you, Ryan, Julia, and Dylan. I was so happy to spend some time with you today. And Seth, are you still here in the ether somewhere? Maybe?
I am, yes. Thank you all so much for joining today. I know you can't see me right now. Here I am. Thank you so much. Thanks for everyone joining us on Facebook Live today and at home. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving and wonderful holiday, and hope you can find some times to connect with your friends and family as well. So, bye everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.